What up? I got something to say. We can keep going, man. We can take over the goddamn world. Believe I'm stopping when I come back, boy. I'm coming straight out of town.
Hello, America. I'm Tommy Sotomayor, and this is part one of my Straight Outta Compton movie review.
I come down here and harass my clients because of what they look like.
I promise you, things gonna be different from here on out.
Listen, to be honest with you, I don't know anything about hip-hop, but I know that you're special.
You want to be involved with this gangster life?
Here we go. Speak a little truth and people lose their mind.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tommy Sotomayor. And of course, everyone has been asking me to do the movie review of Straight Outta Compton. And first off, I want to say it's my pleasure to do this movie review because this was an awesome movie. I enjoyed it. And probably the biggest reason I enjoyed the movie was because it was reminiscent, reminded me of my childhood. This was when I grew up. This was when the formation of a lot of the opinions that I had about life. And let's just make this correct too. A lot of the opinions that I had about life that were completely wrong. And right now I'm 39 years old. So at that point in time, I was about 19 years old. About 19, between 16. Well, this movie took place by the time I was about 11 to the time I was like 19. And to tell you about me, I grew up listening to music like this. I grew up, even though my mom didn't sanction me listening to music like this, she never put things like this in our face, but I would get this music. And the funny part about it was the white kids in my school had these things when they first dropped. A white boy named Brandon Childress, he had the Chronic when it first dropped. He had all of this music. So this is where I got a lot of it from, oddly enough. But I was listening to this music and the music resonated with me because it brought forth like a rebellious spirit or a want for a rebellious spirit. They were saying things that you wish you could say, but then you go back to your everyday life. So that's probably why I found the movie interesting, because it was a bunch of nostalgia. Greatest part was you got to sing along with the songs and you knew the words, you remember the words. Where I messed up was I went to white movie theaters, so they didn't know the words. But people have asked me to talk about this movie, so I'm going to break it down to you guys in different sections because I can't do one review of this movie. I loved it so much, and there were several things in this movie that I want to talk to you guys about. So I'm going to break it down into several sections of points that I think that if you haven't seen the movie, these are reasons why you should see it. And if you have seen the movie, I'm trying to figure out if you thought the same way I did. The first thing I want to address, since it is my wheelhouse, is the idea of black single motherhood. When you watch the way the kids grew up, when you watch the things the kids got into, you realize that the one child who was the most stable was Ice Cube. Ice Cube had his mom and dad in his life. Dr. Dre, no. Eazy-E had his dad, I found out last night on the show, but he lost his dad. And I'm going to come back to Eazy-E and how losing his dad might have started a lot of the things that happened to him. We'll get to that. But one of the main issues that you saw in the movie was Dr. Dre, the guy who plays Dr. Dre, and his relationship with his mother. Dr. Dre's mom wanted him, as soon as he got out of high school, to go and get a job, be a janitor or whatever. Dr. Dre was a hot, young, up-and-coming DJ. His mom didn't want to have anything to do with that. His mom didn't want him to have anything to do with that. His mom stated, I was a single mom, and they told me I wasn't going to be shit. And I ain't going to let you not be shit. So you going to need to get it. She was telling him he needed to get a job doing something, because if he's going to live in that house, he has to work. And he was like, but I do have a job. I'm a DJ. She threw $50 at him and said, this little $50 you bringing home ain't shit. The typical black mother. You guys don't understand. And then Dr. Dre has no beef with his mom. He's just telling the story. The typical black mother is this woman who sets up and has a bunch of kids by some dudes and then thinks somehow she's strong because she keeps a roof over their head and keeps feeding them. Dr. Dre had a little brother named Tyreek. Dr. Dre, in trying to explain to his mom that he really believes in his passion, which has now created him or gotten him to be a billionaire. Fancy that. But him trying to explain his passion to his black mom made his black mom take her hand and slap him in the face. Physical violence, one of the mainstays of black females. The reason why so many black men resonate with the videos that I make and the things that I say is because I'm not making this up. This is not something that I'm saying just to make black women look bad. This is something that I'm saying that the majority of people look at and say, well, yeah, that's actually true. Yeah, that actually happened to me. So I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad when I talk about black women. I'm trying to make people aware, because once I grew up and I started talking to more black people and finding that more black men and women had the same experiences with black women being these types of parents, to the point that right now almost every black comedian tells a story about his mom beating him. Tells a story about not a dad beating him, just his mom, and grabbing anything that she can pick up to beat him. E40 has a song, I Hope I Don't Go Back to Slinging Yale. In that song, he said, because I used to get beat with racing car tracks. For anybody to get upset with me to be the voice of the lost generation of black youth who were basically terrorized by these black mothers, because this is the only way to explain it. Dr. Dre refused to be terrorized in his own house, so he left. There was no father there to protect him from being slapped. The truth is, this young boy should have beat his mom's ass. The truth is, you should not be teaching your young boy to solve problems with violence, especially to have him have this anger towards women. You got a lot of black women that are going around and saying, Dr. Dre used to beat women. Don't you think it comes from somewhere? The majority of abusive men to their women, it comes from their mothers being abusive to them. I just wish they'd take their anger out on the appropriate person. But then in the black community, we're being told that when black women do something, well, they're still queens because that's your mama. Dr. Dre left the house after being slapped by his mom and his mom telling him his dream and what he wants to be ain't shit. Dr. Dre believed in his dream enough to leave. His brother Tyree, the emotional man, just like most of us who were raised by black women, continued to stay in the house. Tyree, his brother, was murdered. How was he murdered? In the same type of violence that Dr. Dre's mom was teaching in the house. He had his neck broke during a fight. Dr. Dre, because he was able to leave that house, isn't dead to this day. You go back and you see Dr. Dre ends up having to use his money to pay for funeral, ends up having to use his money to keep taking care of his mom. And even in the song that he has, one of the best songs, I love that beat for that song. I just love Dr. Dre's music. But even in that, how he has to brag about having to buy his mom cars and stuff like that. This is a message to Dr. Dre. I know you feel like you still must praise this woman, no matter what it is she did. And you feel like you still must take care of this woman. And it's noble of you to think so. But it's one of the fallacies amongst black men that you were actually putting out in this movie and didn't even know it. I think Ice Cube was probably the brains more behind the vision behind this movie. And the way that he portrayed you guys who didn't have fathers, MC Ren, all the rest of them, he didn't have any fathers, was spot on. He was the only one that thought, Ice Cube, he was the only one who thought, I'd rather not have any money. I'd rather stand and be my own man. Why? Because he had a dad. He saw his dad be his own man. He wanted to be his own man. And look at how Ice Cube is the only one that's like this consistent father in his kid's life. It's just Ice Cube. None of the other ones. What does that tell you? It says that men like Dr. Dre and like me, no matter how much our drive is, we're trying to get away from the damage and the poison that was sent to us by our black mothers. Tyree, Dr. Dre's brother, ends up dead. Dr. Dre ends up taking care of his mom. Guess what Peyton Manning doesn't have to do, Dr. Dre? Take care of his mom. Guess what Tom Brady doesn't have to do, Dr. Dre? Take care of his mom. Guess what most white athletes who strike it big don't have to do? Take care of their mom. Be their mom's little man. Be their mom's basic boyfriend, caretaker. But that's exactly what black men have to do. That's exactly what black men have to be. This movie addressed it. Just didn't know that it was addressing it. The majority of black men raised by single moms are overly emotional. And I'm going to end it with Eazy-E. Eazy-E had his dad. Then Eazy-E lost his dad. Once Eazy-E lost his dad, he became vulnerable to Jerry Heller. Jerry Heller, who often referred to Eazy-E as his son in interviews, still to this day says he did not rob those young men, that he did not rob Eazy-E. He would have never been able to be put in that position had Eazy-E had his father, which is why Ice Cube was not put in that position. And Ice Cube was a young man when he made a decision that not many young men would make, which is to walk away from a couple of dollars on the table so he can go after bigger money. Look at where Ice Cube is. Look at how his life is going today. A businessman, a calm man. Even all of the things he went through trying to find himself, the Nation of Islam stuff. He was always about doing what he felt was right. And that's what comes with you having a father. You have your own direction. Like he said when he broke up with the group, he was the only one that felt like, even though I'm leaving the group, I don't have to talk about the group. The group felt like he was getting too big. And so they wanted to talk about him. If you think about it, look at my situation. We'll get back to that. Right now, we want to talk about these single mothers and single black mothers. Single black mothers, I've said, and I started a series about how I believe they're the worst stewards of children on planet Earth. If Dr. Dre had stayed around his mother, he wouldn't be Dr. Dre, the Dr. Dre that he is today. He might be dead like his brother. He might be somewhere strung out. He might be in jail. And this is not hyperbole, because you have a sample. You have one who left home, one who stayed home. The one who stayed home is dead. The one who left the abusive mom, the bad talking, loud mouth, sassy mouth, cussing mom, because that's what he had. The one who left became a billionaire, a respected businessman, an icon. All because he decided I cannot do anything being this woman's whipping boy. This woman is violent. This woman is emotional. This woman is illogical. And the sad part about it, that's most black women. I'm going to continue to do more of these reviews of several different parts. I hope you enjoyed this one. The next one is going to be about Jerry Heller and Jews versus blacks. That's going to be my favorite one because this is the one I'll touch that some people won't touch. I'm Tommy Sotomayor. I love the movie Straight Outta Compton. Look forward to seeing my next review. I'm out.
For the love